The trouble starts with pilgrimage traffic. People from all over the ancient world are stopping at temples to Aphrodite, goddess of love, desire, the whole portfolio, and walking right past, going instead to stare at a mortal girl named Psyche, a princess. Third daughter of a king whose name we never learn because he's not important. She's the story. Crowds gather outside her house just to see her walk past. Sailors detour to watch. Apuleius wrote the whole thing down in the 2nd century. The book is called The Golden Ass. According to him, Psyche is so beautiful that people have started treating her like a goddess, leaving offerings, saying prayers. The actual goddess of beauty is losing business. That's not a metaphor. The temples are getting less foot traffic, and Aphrodite finds out. You know how this goes. She goes to find her son Eros, hands him a quiver of arrows, and tells him to make Psyche fall for the most wretched creature he can find. A monster, something broken. She wants Psyche humiliated through the most painful mechanism available, romantic longing. The crime was beauty. The punishment was supposed to be love. Eros arrives to do the job. He finds Psyche sleeping and draws an arrow. The scratch is enough, it doesn't need to be a full shot. He leans in, sees her face properly, and pricks himself on his own arrow instead. Now, Eros's arrows don't produce admiration, they produce compulsion. Instant, irrational, inescapable longing. He's just done it to himself, with a dart meant for someone else. Over someone his own mother sent him to destroy. He vanishes, doesn't report back to Aphrodite. Doesn't finish the assignment, he just disappears and figures out a plan. And the plan he comes up with is, to put it generously, complicated. Psyche, meanwhile, is now a problem nobody knows what to do with. She's so beautiful that men worship her from a distance, but nobody actually comes to marry her. Her 2 older sisters, both plainly ordinary by comparison, find husbands easily enough. Psyche sits in the palace and gets offered prayers instead. Her father consults the oracle of Apollo at Miletus. Oracles never give you what you want. He's told his youngest daughter must be dressed as a bride and left on a cliff top. Whatever comes for her won't be human. They dress her in funeral whites and leave her on the mountain. The family weeps. Psyche stands alone on the cliff, waiting for something terrible. What happens instead is a wind, Zephyr, the west wind, lifts her gently and carries her down into a valley. She wakes up in front of a palace, not a modest one. Apuleius spends some time on the columns, the gold inlaid floors, the ceilings worked in ivory and silver. Invisible servants bring her food and wine and music she can hear but nobody's playing. She sleeps in a bed that costs more than her father's kingdom. And then, in the dark, her husband arrives. She can't see him, he won't let her. He comes only at night, leaves before dawn, every single time. He's kind, he's attentive, he talks to her. But she has no face to put to any of it. Apuleius is careful here, he's not writing a horror story. The husband is genuinely gentle. Psyche isn't frightened. Psyche isn't frightened. But you have to sit with what's actually happening. She's in a palace with everything she could want, married to someone she can't see, can't know, can't identify in the world. And every morning she wakes up alone. She asks him to let her see his face. He says no. He says if she sees him, she'll lose him. He says it's for her own good. He says, trust me. Psyche asks to see her sisters. He agrees, reluctantly. Zephyr brings them down. The sisters take one look at the palace, the gold, the ivory ceilings, the invisible servants, and immediately start working on Psyche. Why can't she see his face? What kind of husband hides in the dark? Remember what the oracle said. What if he really is the monster they warned about? What if he's fattening her up? They come back again. They push harder. And Psyche, who has been alone in that palace talking to a voice in the dark, starts to listen. She prepares 2 things, an oil lamp and a knife. If you were in her position, you'd probably do the same. The plan, light the lamp while he sleeps, see what she's dealing with, and if it's a monster, use the knife. If she's going to die, she's going to die knowing. This is, notably, the most rational thing anyone does in the entire myth. She has no information. She's been told to trust something she's never seen. The sisters are malicious, jealous, wanting to ruin her. But the question they're asking isn't wrong. What's this thing in the dark? And Psyche decides, for the first time in this story, to find out for herself. She waits until he sleeps, lights the lamp, holds it over the bed, and what she sees isn't a monster. It's Eros, the god of love himself, young, winged, with a quiver of arrows at the bedside. She's so startled that her hand trembles and a drop of hot oil falls from the lamp onto his shoulder. He wakes, he looks at her. He looks at the lamp, he says nothing for a moment. Then he says, and Apuleius gives him this line directly, that love can't live where there's no trust. He gets up, he flies away. Just like that, the palace dissolves. Psyche is left on the grass in the valley, alone, in the dark. No palace, no husband, no voice, nothing. She walks to the nearest river and tries to drown herself. The river god pushes her back to the bank. That's a detail I find genuinely strange. Even the rivers know she's not done yet. She wanders. She finds a temple and cleanses it, just automatically tidies up fallen grain offerings on the floor because she doesn't know what else to do. You should keep that image in mind. That act of tidying turns out to matter more than she could possibly know. Aphrodite finds her. This was always going to happen. She takes Psyche into her house, not as a guest, and gives her 4 tasks. If you were keeping score, this is where the score stops being close. The first, a storehouse full of mixed grain. Wheat, barley, millet, lentils, all heaped together. Sort them into separate piles. Overnight. There's no instruction about what happens if she fails, which is somehow worse than being told. She sits in front of the heap and gives up immediately. Then ants arrive, a whole colony, tens of thousands of them, and sort the grain for her by dawn. Why ants? Apuleius doesn't explain. The second task, golden fleece. There's a flock of rams on the far side of a river, violent at midday, capable of killing anyone who crosses to them in the heat. She goes to the bank and plans to wade across. A reed, just a river reed at the waterline, speaks to her. Wait, it says. Wait until noon passes and the heat breaks. The rams will sleep in the shade. Collect the fleece from the brambles without going near them. She waits. It works. The third task is the one where no help comes quickly. She has to fill a crystal vessel from the spring that feeds both the Styx and Cocytus, the rivers of the underworld. It's high on a black cliff face, guarded by dragons that sleep with their eyes open. Zeus's eagle takes pity on her, flies up, fills the vessel, brings it back. She holds it in both hands the whole way to Aphrodite. The fourth task is the underworld. Psyche has to go to Persephone, queen of the dead, and ask her to fill a small box with some of her divine beauty. A gift for Aphrodite, who claims she's worn herself out worrying about Eros. It's a pretext, obviously. Nobody goes to the underworld and comes back. Psyche climbs a tower to jump off it. Another attempt at dying as a shortcut, using death to get there faster. The tower speaks. This is the story where inanimate objects keep saving her. The tower tells her how to make the journey and come back alive. Take 2 coins for the ferryman. Carry 2 honey cakes for the 3.